Good evening. My name is Sarah Izzo. Welcome to Women Crush Wednesday. You don't usually see me for these live streams, but I am here behind the scenes, and I'm going to first share a few words about the moment that we're in tonight, a moment of gruesome gun violence, which is a moment that we never really leave in America, but sometimes it gets particularly intense. I'm going to bring on our hosts, Marie Pavlich and Cyndi Otteson. And I'm also going to bring on our guest, Kailee Caruso. I will introduce them more fully after we reflect for just a minute. So I want to acknowledge that we're all paying a price to live in a country like ours. We take in so much violence that it can be dumbfounding, or we have to block it out to get through the day, and that can feel dehumanizing. I, for one, have just been moving so slowly today, and I finally realized, oh, this is grief. Like, I recognize that effortful moving through ordinary things. And it's grief not just for people who have been killed or lost someone, but because this is how we live and we don't have to. And we're often, encouraged to put all that aside and produce in this capitalistic society, and understood that most of us do not have the privilege and luxury of stepping away from our responsibilities and feeling our feelings and processing them and channeling them. But, neither do we have to pretend that we're not feeling the weight of the many broken parts of our society. So I want to welcome that sadness and fear, anger, hopelessness that we all might be feeling. Me as I'm clicking the buttons tonight, and Cyndi and Marie as they're asking the questions, and Kailee as she's presenting her hopes for her community and how she's working to get there, and you all who are watching. We're here, and we might not really be well, but we're together and we're going through it. We do have a few ideas to share. If you're looking for steps to get involved around particularly the issue of gun violence, we'll give those to you. There is work to be done, but also the work is about showing up in community as a full human, and that's what we're here about. That's what we're for. So, number one, you can contact your representatives and ask them to do everything in their power to fight for gun legislation and ban automatic assault weapons. And this is an easy shortcut to get you started there. Text resist to 50409. You can also check out this website, followthemoney.org, because you do not want to vote for politicians that accept money from special interest groups like the NRA. And this is a great guide to help you. Another idea: join a group that fights for common sense gun laws, like Everytown for Gun Safety, Moms Demand Action. You can text ACT to 64433 to get you started with that. Thank you again for being here. This is Women Crush Wednesday, where we talk to women who are changing the face of politics and power. From political candidates to policymakers, activists, and advocates, we talk to people about how they can engage, empower, and mobilize. Our host, Marie Pavlich, is a brand strategist at large and director of strategy for Perspective. She is an activist in progress and on the board of Woodcraft Rangers, an after-school nonprofit that has been serving LA youth and community for 100 years. Host Cyndi Otteson is a leadership coach, a mother, a former political candidate for LA City Council, a nonprofit leader, and an award-winning marketer who coaches progressive candidates running for office. And our guest, Kailee Caruso, is a candidate for Long Beach City Council, District 3. Kailee is a mother, a community organizer, and a proud graduate of Cal State Long Beach with a master's in public policy. Kailee is a program administrator who works with youth who are either pregnant or parenting and experiencing housing instability to provide transitional living and supportive services with the goal to transition to permanent housing within 18 months. As a Lowell PTA board member, she worked to increase cultural representation in classrooms, curriculum, and library books, and advocated for an equitable and safe school opening. She has canvassed for democratic values, candidates, and ballot measures throughout Long Beach and LA County, coordinated community trainings and conversations regarding the root causes of homelessness, as well as racial equity, climate resiliency, increasing local small businesses, mutual aid, mental health awareness, and directly impacted policy change at the local level. Kailee's campaign for Long Beach City Council has been endorsed by the Long Beach Young Democrats, Yes We Can Democratic Club, Women of Long Beach, Resistor Sisters, and the Knock LA Progressive Voter Guide. Welcome, Kailee. Welcome, everyone. I will bow out now. Have a great conversation.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate you setting the stage like that. Hi, Kailee. It's nice to meet you. After that, it feels like too bright and bubbly of a hello, but I am very excited to meet you. And I just want to say thank you again to Sarah. Like, the day has been so fast and so furious, and I am not well. If I'm being honest with myself, I'm not my whole self and my well self. And I have so much privilege, and so there are so many others who are suffering and impacted by this so much more. So just thank you, and I'm holding space for everyone here and who's listening, who sees this in the future, because unfortunately this will continue to be something that we deal with. So Kailee, I just want to open it up and let you speak to anything that you're holding right now, or that you're thinking about within your community as we are unpacking all of this.
Yes, thank you. Yes, today's been very heavy. I've had to rest, and that's a form of protest. So I took time to rest this afternoon because it was just really heavy. We met last night as a board PTA for the last meeting of the year, and our principal's leaving, but some teachers showed up very shook. And they were very genuine and authentic and real. And it was about community. It was about holding space for that. But it really did impact me heavily, especially with having children. And you don't even want to think about what that would look like, or what that would feel like, or what that call, or waiting to know if it was your child or not. So that's been really heavy to hold a lot of different pieces today. I was looking forward to this conversation because this is what it's about. Also holding space, naming it. That's also a form of protest against white supremacy, our capitalist society of compartmentalizing and then just continuing through the day like nothing happened, when all of us collectively and personally and in our communities for years, and maybe not for so long, have experienced trauma. So I'm really looking for ways that we can act in the community. I was just on the Long Beach School Unified School Safety Focus Group. They planned it previous to the incident yesterday, more regarding the incident that happened in Long Beach with a school safety police officer and an 18-year-old young woman who was killed. So that was important to be on that call tonight as well, to advocate for what school safety really looks like in Long Beach. And it's the same for what looks like in our community, right? More resources. The safest communities throughout our cities and states have the most resources. It's not about increasing the police budget. Data backs that. It shows us that they do not prevent violence and crime. We need to reimagine and redefine what community safety looks like. And we need to do that in the schools as well as the communities.
Thank you, Kailee, for that opening, but also for recognizing exactly what you just said. I think often people focus on the fear, which is also part of the system that, keeps us small, that keeps us quiet. And when we know, like you said, healthy, resourced communities don't have crime. And so when we're looking at what people need to feel safe, it really is about creating that net healthcare, creating it with after-school programs, ways that people can thrive in a system that's really built for us not to. So thank you so much for running. We need more representation across all levels. And as we think about federally what needs to be done, there's so much that can be done right here in our neighborhoods. And I often say that, the most impact we can make is locally, at the local level. And so would love to hear just a little bit about, the different ways that you have been organizing in your community and when you made that decision and why you chose the city council in District 3 to run.
Yes, great questions. I, about 5 years ago, was getting out of an unsafe relationship, took a lot of courage to do that, and really finding myself again. Always had a heart for racial and social justice. So that was an easy way to make my way back in. I was also kicked out of the status quo. I had new labels. I was divorced. I was a single mom now. And that was interesting to have to take on those labels before I was ready. Society wanted to put those on me immediately. So I read the book White Allies. I think the author's last name is Boyd. And it just reflects on a lot of white anti-racist activists throughout the United States for centuries and decades. So it kind of gives a focus and a view of like, this is possible for folks to show up this way, and it's not dependent on folks who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. White people have to show up to dismantle white supremacy. It's literally our responsibility. And so I read that book. I got involved with Surge Long Beach, which is Show Up for Racial Justice Long Beach. There's a lot of chapters throughout the nation. White People for Black Lives in LA is the LA chapter. There's also Aware LA. So I got involved with them. It was easy to navigate in terms of just finding my stake in this work, because we can a lot of times come or become activated through emotions, but then what keeps us long term? So my freedom as a white woman, or how I identify, because I am not truly free, is wrapped up and tied up in other women being free. So the intersectionality of that. So the stake, that's my stake in this work. It's not to come in to help. It's not to come to be a savior, but it's to allow everyone to be free. So the journey is beautiful in terms of viewing that as a long-term journey. We need to be able to do this for a lifelong. There's no end in sight. White supremacy wants us to be perfect or like have a goal in mind, or it's just for like a couple years. But this is a lifelong journey. And it's also, I've implemented through my entire life, the way I am a mother, the way I show up in my community, the way I go to work. I come from this lens of equity, creating safety and care for all of us, and wanting to do that in a very anti-racist manner and way. So I have always wanted to run for city council to a degree. I think it's always just been inside of me. And I've talked about it with folks for a couple years. I've mentioned it here and there. But when I saw who was running in District 3, there was no one I wanted to vote for personally. And I think we just need more options. And none of us have political experience. I said, why not throw my name in the hat and see what happens? Because really, I feel like I've already won to be able to bring these conversations to these spaces. I'm the only one talking about not increasing the police budget. I think it's financially irresponsible to name it, to fearmonger, especially when you can't tell us where the resources are coming from, and data shows us it comes directly from the communities. District 3 has a lot of resources. The people have a lot of resources. Our community does not. Our community does not have enough resources. Our schools do not have enough resources. And it's a direct reflection of why homelessness is increasing and why folks are talking about crime and public safety. And that's what we need. So I do feel like I already won, because I'm having the courage to be able to bring these conversations to these areas and these forums and these spaces. And we're going to need to continue to have conversations. I think there's a huge gap between residents and being politically active and involved in your community and creating care and what that looks like. We can have more education. I've had to learn what trauma-informed care looks like. I've had to learn how to de-escalate folks in situations when I'm working with folks experiencing housing instability and that might be experiencing mental health challenges as well. We need to create space for more education and more community. And we can actually be the example of community care before the policy and all of those things are initiated.
I love it, Kailee. You are speaking my language. The most the candidates who stepped up to run because there wasn't a person to vote for. That was me. And I also didn't have political experience, but I had organizing experience, as do you. And I think that that's really where we can redefine the rules of what winning means, especially when we are centering our most vulnerable neighbors, the people who are on the margins, the ones who we know that the elected officials who have special interest money are not listening to because they don't vote. And that is where we see that power dynamic shift. So I'm so hopeful. Thank you for running.
And I think to piggyback on what, or to build on what you were just saying, it sounds like a lot of the ways that you're approaching this campaign have to do with organizing white people in support of anti-racist policies and social justice. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about how that has come into your campaign and what that has looked like going from an organizer's lens into a campaign lens and how it's affected your policies.
Yes, great question. I always try to focus on me first and like me continuing to do this work, because then that's just a reflection of how I do it with other folks. And I'm coming in authentically and genuinely to the spaces. But a lot of the spaces that I'm coming into, especially for District 3, are older, wealthy, white folks. And I'm able to say these things. I'm able to use my privilege for good in terms of having these conversations and naming these things that we need to talk about, related to not relying on old systems and how they don't work. So I'm grateful for that opportunity, because that's a part of organizing white folks, just having the conversations, just planting the seeds. And I know that it's going to make a difference, because whatever happens or not, I'm going to continue to have these conversations in this district, and we're going to continue to do it and be at the heel of whoever does, if it's not me, wins the city council seat. I've already seen, based off of things I've brought up in the forums or debates, and the candidates have shifted because of that. The next time someone came with numbers of how much it would cost to increase the police budget, someone else came and said, oh, I went to go visit the homeless shelters and the transitional homes in Long Beach, because I'm making it clear that I'm the only one that has experience, and I'm coming from a trauma-informed care that these folks are human beings and we cannot criminalize them. That's not going to decrease homelessness or increase public safety. So I can already tell the difference that it's making. And it's so important, especially in this district. Susie Price was the first Democrat to win a city council seat. So it's just clear how conservative this district is, but also how we need to engage so many more folks, because that's not all of District 3. And how do we activate folks and keep them engaged and make it accessible and help them to find their own stake in what this looks like? Because the local level, like Cyndi mentioned, is just so important. We have so much power at a local level to really make the shifts that we want to. I want to, in 4 years, be having leaders from other cities come to Long Beach and mirroring and wanting to know how we did it and how we're doing it, and instead of talking about the same things again, because that's inevitable. And it's exhausting, right? The same things in terms of violence, in terms of whatever it is, happening over and over again for us.
Thank you. So Kailee, give me an example. So I know LA, right? In LA, we have 15 city council districts, which are far too few for the population of nearly almost 4 million. We have a weak mayoral system. And so each one of the council districts operates like a little fiefdom, right? The power that the city council member has is huge. And oftentimes the mayor gets shackled by the actual control that the city charter is enacted so that it's weak. So give us an example of how the Long Beach City Council operates, what are the things that you're looking forward to doing as an elected city council member, and how they work in tandem with the mayor or other city council members in Long Beach.
Yeah, this is a huge election in Long Beach. The mayor is going to change, at least 3 or 4 city council members. I believe there's 9 total. We have more power together. We have power in voting. We have power in creating policy. We have power in things that we're doing right now, but also the future. And I'm very passionate about how we can be strategic, how we can build comprehensive data-backed solutions that will impact Long Beach for the better in the future. So I look forward to building those relationships. I look forward to getting more folks engaged, because people have power and we need to be able to utilize that, whether it's petition signatures or having folks show up at City Council and voice their opinions and being truly engaged.
Great. And what are some of the things that you are looking forward to, day one, month one, 90 days out, that you are just really hoping to hit the ground running? What's your wish list for your district and then the city of Long Beach?
That's a great question. I talk a lot about a mental health department coming to Long Beach. We have our own public health department. We're always looking for more money to fund things that are going to work. So having our own mental health department would really bring funds, bring resources, bring preventative programs. We don't talk enough about prevention. We're going to be in the same position in 10 years if we're not preventing mental health concerns, mental health challenges, affordable housing, access to resources that are just meeting basic needs for folks. So that's something that's really important to me. Rex Richardson has mentioned that as well, of something that he would want to do in Long Beach. I think there's a lot of intersection with the challenges and the priorities that we have in Long Beach. In terms of climate, it impacts different districts differently, more vulnerable communities, and then resources. I want to see what it looks like to put more resources in our community immediately and see the impact it has. We definitely need more places for folks that are experiencing housing instability throughout Long Beach. We don't have enough resources, and it looks different for folks who are youth or adults or families. And a lot of the folks that are homeless or experiencing it, we don't see them. A lot of folks, like, for example, in Belmont Shore, see one group of people that are primarily there, but we have a lot of other folks in our community impacted by them. So I want to do education. I want to do political education. I want to be able to bring the community together for engagement and getting to know each other again and building community of what that looks like. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity to inform the community, build community, and then also be strategic about these long-term things that will impact us positively.
Great. Thank you. And give us some, Marie, do you have questions? Because I feel like I'm just like,
No. I was really just going to say, I love hearing this and knowing that we are minutes away from the end of voting time, weeks away from the end of voting time. What are some things that people can do to help, get involved with your campaign? Anything like that before we ask you to, close out and give us your final thoughts.
Yes, canvassing right now is huge. We just want to talk to folks. We want to get to know them. We want to ask them what's important to them and what they love about Long Beach. Also sharing if they want a yard sign or my flyer, to get to know kind of my priorities and my background and my experience more. So canvassing would be huge. There's one this weekend with George Moyer, who's running for the city prosecutor. We're excited about that, but please reach out. You can go to my website. I think Sarah's going to put it in the chat to connect, and your availability, because it's even during the week, if you have time during the week, anytime. So we just really want to get out and talk to folks.
Yeah,
it's true. People working from home, I have gotten people canvassing me, and it's like actually the best time because my kid's not running around next to me. I was like, oh, this is genius.
Yeah, if you work from home and you live in Long Beach, even an hour of your time, you can knock 20 of your neighbors' doors. I've done it, and it's fun because you get to talk to people who are looking out the door and being like, who's at my door? Oh, it's your neighbor. And then be able to talk to somebody who actually can connect you to who's on your ballot. One of the most wonderful things about looking at my ballot is just the sheer number of people that I actually know, that I can vouch for, that I can, actually say that this person has been doing the work. And so please, Even if you don't think you have time, show up with your time or your money. If you don't have the time, show up with your money. And if you have both, do both. So go to KaileeCaruso.com, sign up to volunteer. Everyone knows somebody that lives in Long Beach. You know, it's not hard to find. So please amplify, post, reshare, and get the vote out. It's crunch time. We really have less than 2 weeks left. We got 13 days. And now is the time more than ever to pay attention. It's time to get activated. So show up.
Yes.
Yes. And as we close out, Kailee, is there anything else that you want us to know about your campaign? Any, key points, anything that you just want to say as we kind of wrap up here?
Yeah, I think with everything that's going on, this is what gives me hope at a local level to impact our community, to make changes, to build relationships, to have the courage to try things that we know work, but actually having the courage to do it. I am so passionate about policy and being a voice for the people and not a politician. I don't ever want to be a politician, but I do value so much what we can really create and reimagine for our communities and our children and our seniors living in the community. There's so much impact that we can do. So I hope that folks can take a chance on me. I am the most courageous, and that's the reflection that I'm going to be in City Hall when I am an advocate for the community. I'm not afraid to stand alone, and I'm not afraid to say what people don't want to hear, and I'm not afraid to make people uncomfortable. I'm also not afraid to have uncomfortable conversations because I'm collaborative, and I want to hear other people's experiences and opinions and thoughts and ideas, because that's how we're going to work together as a community. So I really look forward to what happens, and I'm so grateful for this space that y'all gave me to share more about me and my campaign and what we're doing in Long Beach.
Thank you, Kailee. Thank you for carving out the time. And please go to KaileeCaruso.com, sign up to volunteer, knock doors, give her your time, give her your money, give her both, and tell all your neighbors and friends in Long Beach to vote for Kailee.
And as we close out, I just want to plug that Women Crush Wednesday, Politics and Power. You can follow us on Instagram at WCW Politics and Power. And we are doing a doubleheader today. So at 7:45, you can join us for a conversation with Gina, who is running for mayor, Gina Viola. She's amazing. We're really excited that we get to talk to her as well. This has just been such a lovely thing to look forward to in a day that has been so hard to have these wonderful women to talk to. So please join us. And again, that's bit.ly Gina WCW, all caps. Or you can just find the links in any of our bios. All right. Thank you so much, Kailee. We really appreciate you. You will be the next District 3 representative. And we're just so excited to have somebody so courageous.
And you are already winning. So thank you for running.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would love to touch base with both of y'all offline at some point, because I've learned about you online today, and I look forward to being in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.